So I just looked on the weather, haven't been outside yet, saw that it was almost 70 degrees. I'll tell you what that means, we're going outside for this video. Oh, it feels amazing out here. So good! See this fine craftsmanship right here? Walmart's never made a bike so good. Alright, so here we are. What's up, our squad? Hope you're doing good. Hey, listen, glad that you joined us tonight. What a beautiful day it is. So pumped that you are here. You decided to be with us. Move this in a little bit closer. Bam! Now I can see you. So hopefully after your exams today, you got off a little early, or you had a little bit of chance to get out and enjoy some of this beautiful weather. Hey, something we talked about last week that we're really excited about is we have finally found somebody that's going to step in as the student director for our squad, and his name is Jordan McLaren. He's an awesome guy, and here's what's really cool is this Sunday down at the Surf City Welcome Center, you know, the brown building next to the pier right when you get on Topsail Island, you're going to get a chance to meet him and bring your parents, bring your family. It's going to be Sunday from 3 to 5. So after church, go grab something to eat and then run down, hang out for about 10-15 minutes, however long you want, but it's just kind of drop in. So 3 to 5 at the Surf City Welcome Center. You're not going to want to miss that. So get your parents on board. You guys ride out there, enjoy the beautiful weather, and hang out a little bit and get a chance to meet Jordan. Now, since we're out here and since we're all together, I thought it'd be really great just to talk a little bit about where we're going for the next few weeks. We just finished an incredible series on prayer, and hopefully you have a better understanding of prayer. And this week we're jumping right into the Bible. The question for you as a teenager, what is the Bible? Most people probably look at this thing that you go to school with, is this just an old book full of old stories and text? But man, this thing is so much more than that. This is a letter written to you that's been preserved over thousands and thousands of years for you to have and for you to understand and be better at life. And so there's a little video that I want us to watch right now that helps explain what this whole story looks like.
The Bible's an important book, but it's really long.
Yeah, it's a collection of many books written over a long period of time, but altogether they tell one unified story.
So, what's the story of the Bible?
Well, it begins by introducing us to a beautiful mind, the author of all reality, a being called God. And he has the power to take the dark chaos of the uncreated world and bring about order and beauty and a garden full of life.
And to crown this accomplishment, God appoints these creatures called humanity,
Or in Hebrew, Adam.
and they're made as God's image.
Which means that they're commissioned to rule this beautiful world on God's behalf by harnessing all of its potential and creating even more beauty and order.
This is a story about humans using their power to do meaningful, life-giving work. But the question is, how?
Yeah, humanity now faces a choice that's represented by a fruit tree. So humans could partner with God and find freedom by trusting in his knowledge of good and evil.
Or
They could seize power and define good and evil on their own, which, God warns, will kill them.
and they hear the voice of a dark, mysterious creature that tells them the choice is simple. Take the fruit. It'll give you power and freedom to rule the world on your own terms.
And so they seize this knowledge, and as a result, they become suspicious and self-protective. It leads to fractured relationships, violent power grabs, and ultimately, a whole civilization, Babylon, that has redefined evil as good. And so, God scatters this corrupted human project.
And here the story of the Bible takes an important turn. We zoom into the story of a man and a woman who come out of Babylon, Abraham and Sarah.
Yeah, God promises that from them will come a new people, a nation that has another chance to make the right choice. And if they succeed, it will open up this new way forward for the rest of humanity.
And this is why the rest of the Bible story is about this family.
And it does not go well. But despite God's personal guidance, Abraham's family gives in to that same temptation to redefine good and evil on their own terms, apart from God.
Even when their best people were in charge, rulers who loved God's guidance and had divine wisdom, even they gave in.
And so Israel was warned by their own prophets that these choices would lead them back to Babylon, this time as conquered captives living in exile, and that's exactly what happened.
So even with God's personal guidance, Israel fails. Who can succeed?
Well, the prophet said that the story wasn't over. God's going to send a new leader to Israel to cover for their failures and to transform the people's hearts and minds so that they can make the right choice.
And so the part of the Bible called the Old Testament ends, and these promises are left hanging.
And then the biblical story continues into the New Testament. We're introduced to a man who comes from the line of Israel's kings, Jesus of Nazareth. And he said that he was bringing all these promises to their completion.
He confronted that dark, mysterious evil that all humanity has given into and resisted its power.
And then he announced that God had arrived to rule the world through himself. Jesus taught about God's definition of good and evil, and he said that real power is serving others. According to Jesus, it's people who love the poor and even love their enemies. These are the kinds of people who actually rule the world.
And that's confusing, but also really beautiful.
And so is the claim that the story goes on to make about Jesus, that he is God become human, to be for Israel and for all humanity what we could never be for ourselves. He came to take the consequences of our evil into himself, and his sacrificial love proved more powerful than evil, than even death itself.
So now humanity's presented with a new choice.
Represented by a new tree.
Stick with the old way of being human, or venture into this new way.
And in the story, those who choose the way of Jesus find themselves energized by God's own power. People who know that they are loved and forgiven by God can become people who love and forgive others in return.
The Jesus movement quickly spread throughout the world, forming these new communities of people who follow the way of Jesus.
But they faced problems. There was persecution from the outside by people in power, and inside there was confusion, even compromise.
Yeah, because following Jesus is really hard.
And so the movement's leaders, called apostles, they wrote letters to comfort and to challenge these communities to stay faithful to the difficult way of Jesus.
And they're called to hope for the day when Jesus will come and change everything.
And so the Bible ends by pointing to the future day, when all wrongs are made right, when evil is eradicated, heaven and earth are united, and humanity can rule the world together in the love and power of God.
But the reason that he did all of that is because he wants you to understand that his word is a letter to you. And it's a letter that illustrates his love for you. When I was in school, we used to pass letters back and forth. Like actually we take some paper and we'd pass like love letters back and forth. And I'll show you how we did it. Right. So like you grab a piece of paper like this. Well, that didn't tear too well, right? And then we take it and you write something on it. Like, will you be my girlfriend? And then we put two boxes down here. One would say yes. And then what we would do is we would take these and we'd fold them like this, then we'd start doing this. This was the football fold, and you fold it up like this right here. Get that thing all closed up, right? Get it looking good. Then I take this, I would take it and I would go give it to the girl of my dreams, right? And in this letter would be the next step in our journey together. Most of the time these would come back with a big old no in them. Here's what God did. God wanted to make sure that you got the message. And so what he did was he put this together for you and I. And there's a passage in here that's absolutely amazing in the book of Ephesians. It says, even before he made the world, God loved us. And I'm going to take the us, I'm going to make it me or you, right? So even before he made the world, God loved me. And he chose me in Christ to be holy and without fault in his eyes. God decided in advance to adopt me into his own family and bring me to himself through Jesus Christ. This is what he wanted to do. It gave him great pleasure. So we praise God for the glorious grace he poured out on me and on everyone who belongs to his dear Son. He is so rich in kindness and grace that he purchased my freedom with the blood of his Son Jesus and forgave my sins. He has showered me with kindness, with wisdom, and with understanding. How awesome is that? That when we take this this Bible, what we see in here is it's a book of love letters in many ways to us, so that we can understand that bigger picture that God had for us. He loved you and me so much that He gave His Son for us, that we didn't have to live in sin, that we didn't have to live in captivity, that we could find a freedom in Christ. So I want to encourage you with this. If you haven't got a Bible, first, let's get a Bible in your hand. If you can't get one, let a leader know and we'll make sure that we get one for you. But get a hold of a Bible. Because over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about just how important this is for your life. And you don't want to miss out on that.